Whether it's a champion runner, mare, foal, or beloved family pet, Robert Clark is passionate about horses, racing, and eager to create a masterpiece for you. American Pharoah, Authentic, Barbaro, Wise Dan, Zenyatta are just a few champions Clark has brought to life on canvas. You may have seen him painting live during the races at the Breeders' Cups, Churchill Downs, and at Keeneland. He's raised over $600,000 for charity. Check out his website, robertclark.us, to see why you should talk to Robert when you're ready to create a tribute to that special horse. Email him at bob@robertclark.us or call him at 321-266-1009.
Welcome back to the Horses Now podcast. I'm your host, T. Gridge. As always, I'm joined by the one and only Kenny McPeek. Kenny, we're back. We had to take a little bit of a break there because
well traveled at that too.
Yeah. So, Kenny, why don't you tell our listeners what you've been up to?
So, for the last 7 or 8 days or so, I've been in Saudi Arabia, which was an amazing trip. We had a horse named Rattle and Roll, for those that haven't read up on it. He ran 5th in the Saudi Cup over there, $20 million race, the biggest race in the world.
Do you get money for?
Only got beat a length and a half for 3rd, but that's the difference. 3rd and 5th is $2.5 million to 3rd. 5th is $1 million.
Ooh, okay.
Pretty interesting race. The winner of the race was a horse named Forever Young, a Japanese horse who was 2nd in the Derby. Actually, maybe he was 3rd, but we actually beat him with Mystic Dan. But he ran a very impressive race and probably rated 2 best horses in the world, him and a horse named Romantic Warrior, very well-traveled horse. But this is an exciting trip. I learned a lot about the Saudi culture, was very impressed by it all. The people there were beyond kind. I felt very comfortable there. And a lot of people on this podcast, watching this podcast, probably don't know a lot about Saudi Arabia.
Right.
But I'll tell you, there's a real strong, lot of energy in Riyadh right now. More Western than you would ever know. And the people were fantastic. I think that was the most impressive part is that the culture and going over there, I really had no idea what to expect, but really thoroughly enjoyed the trip.
How was the language barrier?
None whatsoever. Most everybody speaks English. On occasion, you had some people that didn't, but that wasn't a big deal. You could usually sort through it, and it was it's a very safe country. They have almost no crime, and I think the only thing that would probably be the only negative I found is that the drivers were crazy. They you think driving in New York
right.
or maybe Miami or Chicago's interesting. You got a tie on when you go there because everybody's kind of hustling around.
Yeah. So how about I always wonder when you go to a place like that, how was the food, Kenny?
The food was good. They have certainly a different menu than we ever dreamt. But if you wanted to go to a restaurant and order a burger or a steak or
you could do that.
Fish or chicken, they had it served in all different styles. And but I had 3 different evenings that we spent at whom we call Mr. Sharaf. We went to his home 3 different nights and had a buffet dinner. And I was also invited to a gentleman named Faisal Al-Qatani. He had me and Mike Mackin over at his home. If you scroll through the pictures, he's the one who owns the Falcons.
Okay.
I don't know if you saw the Falcon.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was they have falcons that are worth $1 million over there. It's craziness.
Yeah, but birds are a big deal in Saudi Arabia.
Oh, I mean, and most beautiful animal. I mean, I tell you, I was entranced by it. The one I held. Yeah, fantastic. But it was cool.
How are the houses over there, Kenny? Is it just like it's the houses I'm assuming you were in were pretty lavish, pretty spectacular, right?
Well, I went to several different places, and look, they have the sand. I think it causes them to have to build walls around their home because of the sand, and there isn't a lot of grass, as you would expect, but the architecture suits the environment, and if you drive around Riyadh, you find that the wind-blown sand is stacked up in different places, and where they've had fences, it accumulates into the fences, and that's look, it's the desert. So what are you going to do? You're gonna prepare for what you deal with. And then we went to to what they call the founding city. We actually were there for Founding Day. They're just celebrated their 300th anniversary. And the founder city was unique and very, very well done, surrounded by shops, and you got an idea of how people lived 300 years ago in Saudi Arabia. And an interesting fact that I didn't know is that Saudi Arabia is the only country without a river.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so they drill wells.
Yeah.
And in the founding city, there were a series of wells that they utilized for gardening and water sources. And then the very Americanized facility there was something called the Boardwalk.
Okay.
And that was a massive, not an amusement park, but a shopping area where you could go country to country.
Right.
And I posted some of those pictures. I'm not sure if you got those or not.
Yeah. Well, we'll throw them up for our listeners to see.
Yeah. But would love to walk through those pictures with you somehow, some way. I'm not sure if people are overly interested in that. They're probably more interested in the horse side of it. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, let's talk about the Saudi Cup. Were you disappointed in the 5th place finish?
I thought the racetrack played a little bit faster that night than it did. He won a race a month prior. He won the King's Cup very impressively. And if you don't have access to that video, we need to probably post that up. But he was very, very impressive in his King's Cup win. And then in the Saudi Cup, I thought the racetrack played a little quicker, and they didn't back up to him. He came on to run 5th, and he was only beating a length and a half for 3rd.
Right.
But he galloped out in front of the 3rd and the 4th place horses, and it was a respectable race. I thought it was okay. I mean, certainly didn't embarrass himself because it was a 14 horse field.
Yeah.
So he finishes. What is that? He finishes 10th out of 14. I'm sorry, he beat 9 out of the 14.
Right.
He's got that. The Dubai World Cup is 10 furlongs, which I think is going to be a race that he likes even better because we get more ground, and hopefully we get a racetrack that's a little more conducive to his running style. And he was way far back, which is his running style anyway. But came out of the race in good order. And actually all night tonight, I'm working on the logistics and the bureaucracy of trying to get him to Dubai for his next start.
Got it.
So you have to go through regulatory vets, ministry vets, blood work. We have shipping details, quarantine worries. We've got to worry about our staff and where they're going to be. Danny Ramsey and Francisco Serrano are both in Riyadh with the horse.
So they're with him. Okay.
Yeah, so it's a big project dealing with all the details, and the horse has done well coming out of the race, and we're optimistic if we can get an invitation to the Dubai World Cup that we go for that.
So, Kenny, obviously that particular race, the Saudi Cup, there isn't a restriction on age, right? It's just kind of send your best, and we'll see who wins. Correct?
Well, it's a 4-year-old and up race.
Oh, it's a 4-year-old.
The Saudi Cup or the Dubai World Cup?
No, the Saudi Cup. So it's a 4-year-old and up. Okay, I gotcha. So
he won the Win in Your Inn, which was the King's Cup.
Got it.
And that was in January. And then other horses get invited, and then we have to worry about travel and such.
So Rattle and Roll 6, correct?
It's what?
Rattle and Roll is 6 years old, right?
He's a 6-year-old. Yes, he is.
Okay, gotcha. Which is a little bit older than, I mean, obviously Forever Young's probably 4.
Yeah.
So how big of a difference is that? Does that play into this at all?
Not really at this stage.
Okay.
No, I think a 4-year-old's a mature horse. Forever Young's exceptional. He's traveled a lot, and he looked good in the paddock, and he ran obviously a big race. But yeah, a 4-year-old running against 6-year-olds is not a huge difference. They all carried the same weight, and that's an equalizer.
So the Japanese horses did really, really well that day, or so it seemed. They won a ton of races on that day. What do you attribute that to?
They did, and they were ultra impressive. They finished first, third, and fourth. And like I said, we galloped out in front of the third and fourth horse, but we weren't anywhere near the first place horse. And the horse that finished second came from Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's an international event, world-class international event.
So I know it's a big deal for the Japanese to put horses in the Derby. Do you see them winning a Kentucky Derby here in the near future? I know Forever Young was one of their favorites to do it. They haven't won one yet. Obviously, as dominant as they were all day in the Saudi Cup, do you see that coming?
They're making every effort for sure, and they're not scared to go. And they're bringing better and better stock every year. And I do think over a course of time they probably will win one. But we're gonna, the coming into the Churchill track and all the logistics there are trickier for them than it is for American-based horse. But it's they're competitive, very competitive.
Well, you're back now. How was the travel? Was the travel decently easy, or was it tough?
Honestly, I really hardly slept while I was over there going that way.
Yep.
That was really hard. Coming back, I've done a lot better. I'm in New Orleans now, and we are, I'm about back on schedule. But yeah, those 9 time zones I lose going over, and then coming back, you get them back. And it physically, it's probably harder on me or on my staff than it is for the horses. I didn't get one good night's sleep over there because my body was still accustomed to another time zone. But that's part of our business, and it's kind of, I've always been that way. Whether I go to England or Europe, I usually struggle for a bit while I'm over there.
So one of our listeners wanted to know, how did Sonny fare while you were gone? Obviously, you didn't take Sonny with you. I know you normally take him everywhere with you. How did Sonny do?
Well, I did an interview on the broadcast over there, and I wore my Sonny socks. But there's Sonny right there.
Okay.
You see?
Hi, Sonny.
We went to Mardi Gras parade night before last, and he's got his beads on. So.
I like it.
Sonny.
Where does he stay when you're overseas?
Robbie Alvarado watched him while I was gone.
Nice.
Robbie takes care of, he gets on all the top horses here. Matter of fact, we've got a really good shed row. I could walk down here.
Yeah, you got some all-stars there today, right?
Yeah, no. Hypnus is in the first stall here.
Let's talk about Hypnus real quick, Kenny. He just ran the Rebel Stakes. Talk to me about that race.
Let me flip my camera here, if I can.
There we go.
We weren't thrilled with the trip that he got in that race. This is Hypnus right here. He had a little bit of a tight trip when they turned for home. He got boxed in and stopped, but he'll be fine. This horse, we've got another prep race. We're either going to run him in the Louisiana Derby or the Bluegrass, more than likely. I don't see him going back to Oaklawn. The Louisiana Derby may suit him, but we're going to have to sort out competition. 1-1. Sort out the competition. 1-1 on everybody. Yeah. We got a group of horses getting ready to go to the track right now.
Could Hypnus be Derby bound at some point?
Yes. Well, he's going to need to be third or better in his next run to get points.
Got it.
So he's going to have to punch his ticket in his next race.
Got it.
But that's doable. And then this is Take Charge Milady. She ran really disappointing this week. I was not happy with her run in Oaklawn. she went off one of the favorites in the Honeybee and ran really flat. And we've gotten her. I brought her down here to the fairgrounds. She's a little off her feed. We're going to back off. We actually going to give her a little bit of worming medication and maybe some ulcer guard to see if her stomach's sorted out and clear.
Okay.
This one you might all recognize. Torpedo Anna.
There's the big
There's
star.
the big girl. Up, stretch. Yeah, this is a very good lineup of horses right here. She went out in the first set this morning, so she's already come and gone.
She still look amazing.
Oh yeah, she's the queen. This is Decadent. She runs. She's 1 start, 1 win. She runs this weekend at Oaklawn. She's actually shipping to Hot Springs this morning.
How old is Decadent?
Girl, she's a 3-year-old filly.
Got it.
This filly could sneak into the Kentucky Oaks if she wins this week. Sonny got his Mardi Gras beads on.
Love
there. This is a really good horse right here. This is Gould's Gold.
Oh yeah, we've heard that one.
Gold is a Golden Sense colt, same sire as Mystic Dan, and he won a stake race in Pennsylvania in his last start. They're all inquisitive about Sonny, but he had a little bit of a suspicious cannon bone, so we gave him a break. But he's getting ready to run. He's going to run on what looks like the 16th of March. This is we got good horses. Maximum Promise.
Mm-hmm.
He was 3rd in the Battaglia, and is probably going to come back in the Jeff Ruby at Turfway again. But I shipped him up and then brought him right back here to us. And this is a lovely horse in his own right. So he's stakes placed.
Awesome.
And was only beaten 2 lengths in the LeCompte down here. And I do think this horse's future is on the turf.
Okay.
He is nominated to the English Derby as well as the Kentucky Derby.
Okay.
All right, be nice, guy. He sees Sonny. All right. Now here's another good one. So Gal's Delight. She was 2nd here in the Rachel Alexandra. And this filly's either going to go to the Virginia Oaks or the Fairgrounds Oaks. Hadn't decided.
Okay.
This is Chico. Chico ran the Kentucky Derby winner this year, Mystic Dan.
Nice.
And see what he's doing right there. That's perfect. He's currying her, getting a lot of the hair off of her, giving her a good massage.
Do the horses like that, Kenny?
Oh, yeah. Love it. Love it. This filly's by practical joke. This filly could go the right direction and end up in the Kentucky Oaks without any trouble. We're the second gets her points, 2nd in that last race.
Right.
And then this next race is going to probably going to be Virginia Oaks, but I hadn't decided. So this one you recognize.
Oh yeah.
There's the big horse.
Big Dan.
He went out early this morning. We're regrouping with him. You know, his last couple of runs have been disappointing, but I think we were too ambitious with him. Really, I threw him in the deep end, and we had really logistics issues getting him to California and back. And he's much better than his last 2 races. We ran him 7/8, probably the wrong distance, and then we ran him in the Pegasus, which is his first start against older horses. That was probably too ambitious. I'll take the bullet on that one. But he jogged this morning and just getting a little cozy little nap right now before we feed here.
I like it.
Yeah, and we'll got some others on the other side, but we're gonna walk back out to the rail because I've got horses getting ready to gallop.
Awesome. I mean, that's quite a lineup right there, Kenny.
Oh, it's a very good lineup. It sure is. You know, Chico and Peter Sawyer are probably my 2 key grooms around here. Torpedo name card.
Awesome.
We have name cards on all these horses. Let's take charge of Milady again. Hypnus again. Peter, win the Derby with this one?
Yeah, man.
I love it.
Look at Peter. Peter and Chico are the best. I got to come in here and catch them working hard, right?
Oh, wow. It's kicking that leg out.
This horse reminds me of Harlan's Holiday, colt that I trained years ago.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
sure.
This is our our office here. As you've seen, we're pretty consistent every office we have.
Yeah. They're all pretty similar.
Yep.
Kenny, I got a couple of questions as you're walking around here from our listeners here. In a previous episode, Kenny said it's hard for a racehorse coming from South America to North America to acclimate to our tracks. Why is that?
No, I don't think our tracks is the issue. It's coming from South America to North America. You're changing seasons, so you're altering a horse's seasonal. Their body has to shift from. We go spring, summer, fall, winter. Whereas that's flipped when they come from South America, and their body has to rotate back from the opposite direction. And it usually, especially fillies, it takes them a while for them to acclimate and their body to change direction, if that makes sense.
Yep.
If you flush a toilet in South America, it goes one way, and if you flush a toilet in North America, it goes the other way.
Right.
So that's a kind of an unusual thing. But switching direction hemispheres is the hard part. Going east to west, if you're going to Europe, you're going to Dubai, you're going to even Saudi Arabia, it's not so difficult because you're not switching hemispheres.
Makes sense.
And the surfaces are equal in each country. Grass, turf is turf, dirt is dirt. Like, for example, in San Isidro and Palermo, San Isidro is primarily a turf track. In Argentina. Palermo in downtown Buenos Aires is a dirt track. Then you go to Brazil, they run more grass than they do dirt. And actually, there aren't any top dirt races in South America, in Brazil.
Okay.
And in Chile, they go left-handed and right-handed. One side of town, the track's left-handed. The other side of town, the track's right-handed.
Interesting.
So, so there's all different approaches.
The next question was, can we get an update on Hypnus and when he will run next? I think you just went over that, but maybe you can run that back.
Yeah, Hypnus is likely going to go either Louisiana Derby or Bluegrass, like I said. I don't know right now. I haven't decided. He's nominated to both. He's only been back from Arkansas a few days, and we will get him into a good routine here and just make a decision on him when we.
What goes into that decision, Kenny? Is it who you're running against, logistics?
Well, he's got to win over this racetrack. Yes, and we're here at the fairgrounds now. Horses, there's one of mine right there. This racetrack here, he's won over this racetrack, so that's a good first step.
Yep.
We need to see what the competition is going to look like in both spots. I think the fact that the Bluegrass is a grade 1 would be a incentive, but the Louisiana Derby is mile and 3/16, which is closer to the Derby distance, and it's $1 million in its own right. So there's incentive to go either direction, and I know that I'll probably have to make a tough call on all that, but don't rule that horse out whatsoever. He's definitely going to find his way into the mix.
Next question. What is the difference between a breeze, a work, a bullet, and a lick?
There's Sonny's dog sitter.
That's right. It's me.
There's our vet, Tyler. So a 2-minute lick is a 15-second eighth of a mile.
Okay.
So if you can see these poles here, that's a 3/4 pole. Down there is if you can see the green pole down there, that's the 5/8 pole. You want a horse, a 2-minute lick, they would go all the way around in 15 seconds from that pole to the green pole on the other end. A breeze is a speed work where you want closer to 12 seconds between eighths of a mile. And you really want, for me, I always want the last quarter of a mile to be faster than the first part of the workout.
Yep. Okay.
What was the third part of the question?
A work and a bullet.
Well, a bullet work is the fastest work of the day.
Okay.
When they total or tally up all the breezes and then they put the math in of all the times, the fastest work of the day gets the bullet. Torpedo Anna typically throws the bullet. Mystic Dan typically throws the bullet. Gould's Gold threw a bullet the other day. But usually those are the best horses that do that. And most of the better horses work, for me, they work Saturdays.
All right, next question. What has happened to Monaco? He was at Churchill, scratched, hasn't had a work since October-ish. He's the listener says Kenny had an eye on him, and he seemed to be working in the mornings. Any update on Monaco?
So he had we had him ready to run last fall. We felt like he was ready to run. The state vet felt like that he has what they call it's pretty significant splint bones, which those are easily managed, but they need watched, and they're not a breakdown issue so much as they're unsightly. But he has really, really enlarged splints, which the state vet didn't like the splints, so we chose not to run him. He chose that they observe him. And then we also felt like that he needed a little more time. He had a couple of small things. But if you'll remember, he's by Curlin. And Curlin didn't race as a 2-year-old himself. And so we just felt like the prudent thing, talking to John Stewart, Resolute Racing, would be to give him more time. He's had a series of veterinarians look at him, and I think he's coming back to me this week. We're supposed to get him over at Keeneland. I had a phone call with his team the other day, and from my understanding, he's coming back to us just to get him going.
That same listener had asked about Maximum Promise, but we just saw Maximum Promise, and so you said that Maximum Promise could be a Derby horse.
Well, I really think he's a grass horse. I think he's a horse that wants turf. He's out of a Galileo female line. He ran on the synthetic. He drew the 12 hole in that race at the Battaglia at Turfway, and that was not really, really kind of a bad advantage or disadvantage running from the 12 hole up there. 2 winners, or first and second place horse, drew inside, and he ended up hung wide both turns and didn't get beat that far. But his next run, I think you're going to see him run a lot better. And right now, I'm probably leaning towards the Battaglia his next race. He has been invited to the Dubai World Cup off the 3rd in the Battaglia.
Nice. All right, Kenny, I'm going to ask you one more, and I'm going to let you get back to work here. And we have a lot more questions we'll get to in future episodes, but we'll let you get back to training here. So last question. Can Kenny elaborate on how 1-turn versus 2-turn races affect the dynamics of a race?
Yeah, for sure. It affects the pace of the race. So when you run 2 turns, which actually is probably my forte and my preference, is you break from the gate and you run into the first turn, and there's usually and a lot of the jockeys encourage their horses to show a little speed into the first turn to get position.
Yep.
And then if you train a closer, you want pace in the race, and that pace in the race gives it softens the speed horses up, and then the horse will come back. The speed will come back to the closer, and a 1-turn race is a little bit different because the speed only has to negotiate 1 turn, and it gives them a little more time to settle, and then they have to ask for position into that 1 turn that they're going to run around. Like, for example, at Churchill Downs, we run a 1-turn mile, but a 2-turn mile and a 16th. So the distances aren't that far apart. They're only a 16th of a mile different, but the whole dynamic of that race is going to unfold differently. And so you've got to take into account whether your horse prefers 2 turns, 1 turn. Horses with a little more speed, probably, sprinter milers like 1 turn. Horses that want 1.25 miles will want 2 turns. And then one other thing, like, let's go back to the Saudi Cup. The Saudi Cup was a 1-turn, 9-furlong race.
Right.
Which actually isn't conducive to Rattle and Roll's racing style.
Got it.
He wants a 2-turn race. And the 9 furlongs, he won the first time 9 furlongs. Then the pace of the Saudi Cup wasn't exactly what we wanted. And he runs 5th in
and the Saudi Cup. The competition was also a lot tougher too, but
Right.
He still ran respectable. But we strongly prefer him at 2 turns in the Dubai World Cup at 10 furlongs. And if we can get some pace in the race and they soften, then he'll give him more time to get his running style and him closing into the horses in front of him.
That's pretty fascinating stuff. Kenny, do you ever? That's interesting. I watched Talladega Nights the other night, and I was watching kind of the shake and bake. Do you ever have a horse that runs to get pace to help a horse that's in the back? Do you ever team up 2 horses?
Yeah, that's they couple entries to do that, but you can put a speed horse in the race, and you can ask that horse to set the pace so that it softens the front runners for the closer.
So that happens. So that's something that trainers actually do.
Yeah, absolutely. And probably throwback days, Calumet Farm always ran a pace horse for some of their horses. And if you've got a horse that you can sacrifice, it's a poor word, to set the pace for another horse that's a closer, that happens. I think it probably happens more in European racing than American racing anymore. But there's a back and forth on coupling of entries, same owner entry, where one owner puts another horse in to set the pace. Now today they uncouple the entries, so you don't see it as much and it's not as obvious. But it is a tactic. Interesting.
All right, Kenny. Before we get out of here, anything else you want to tell our listeners?
No, look, we've been all over this winter. I've been between Gulfstream Park, Fairgrounds. I'm probably going to go to Oklahoma with Torpedo Anna. Everybody tune in to watch Torpedo Anna run on March 8th.
Okay, March 8th.
The weekend of March 15th, we're probably going to be in Virginia for the Virginia Oaks, Virginia Derby. The weekend of March 22nd, we're probably going to be Turfway Park. I've got runners. We've got the Louisiana Derby is that weekend. I've got to figure out where I'm going to be. Then the first week in April is complicated because we have the opening of Keeneland, and then the Dubai World Cup is April 5th, and we're still hopeful that Rattle and Roll can run there. If that happens, I'll probably be in Dubai for that. In the meantime, we're going to enjoy Mardi Gras down here in New Orleans. Mardi Gras week is this week. It's a lot of fun for those that have never attended that or participated in it. I myself enjoy it.
It's a big party.
And wife and daughter are coming in here tomorrow.
Nice.
And they'll be through Wednesday. So it's a big celebration time here in New Orleans. Such a part of the culture here. The weird thing is that I've gone from extremes. From New Orleans to Saudi Arabia and then back to New Orleans, and the cultures are so different.
Yeah.
In so many ways. No alcohol at all in Saudi Arabia, which was fine. That was one you get used to pretty quickly. I mean, I'm usually only good for a couple of glasses of wine myself anyway, but it's good to be home and looking forward to this spring racing.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Kenny. And to our listeners, there's a bunch of questions we did not get to, but please keep them coming. It really helps make our show more interesting. So the more questions you can give us, the better. And we will get to the ones that we didn't get to in our next episode. Thank you for listening to the Horses Now podcast. We will be back next week with another great episode.